Seems like the stock market has been divided into two distinct buckets, the stay-at-home stocks and the reopening stocks. You have Wayfair and Zoom and Clorox and McCormick versus Dave & Buster's, Live Nation, all the hotels and airlines. And every day it's a back and forth, promising vaccine news, an outbreak in some new hotspots. Sports are on, half the Marlins test positive. But there's one stock, one that we first talked about a while back, that's been relatively quiet. It's not in the headlines, it's not in Cramer's COVID index, but it has nearly recovered from its March lows, and it has doubled since March 23rd. So today on Dumb Money Live, we're going to reveal that company, the company we're betting on for a big stay-at-home earnings blowout tomorrow morning. This is Dumb Money Live with Chris Camillo, Dave Hansen, and Jordan McLean, streaming live on YouTube. We are Dumb Money. Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan, or at least Chris, and I see Jordan has dialed in. I'll be able to get him on the split screen in a second. Everything's, it's a very last minute show, but we are going to be covering the massive earnings call tonight. So this is the first of two shows. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Google each reporting their earnings after the market closes today. So set an alarm, add it to your calendar, ring the bell, 4 Eastern, 3 Central, 1 Pacific. And because this morning's show was scheduled so last minute, we need your help with the algorithm while I try to figure out how to get Jordan on the screen here. We need you to smash the like button. And there's Jordan. Perfect. Like clockwork.
Dude, where are you, man? Where are you?
I'm on Lake Austin.
Of course you are.
Oh, on the boat. This is live from the boat. This is a Dumb Money first.
Yeah, so who knows if I'm going to keep reception or not, so I can drop it at any time.
I like the artificial blurred background effect, too. It's like you're on a...
Did I do that? I didn't mean to do that. I have no idea how to do it. But, yeah.
What? So, I don't think our viewers have seen this side of you. Jordan is a pretty skilled wakeboarder, aren't you, man? Or you used to be before you got bald and old.
Used to be. Now all the old guys like us just surf.
Just surf? Are you doing some surfing today in the lake?
Yeah, we Adrian surfed. I'm gonna surf here in a few minutes once we got this no wake zone. But and the girls got on the surfboard a little bit. They're tired, but everybody's still going.
Can they tape you surfing at some point during our show?
Oh, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem is they'll probably lose my phone in the water if they try to video it.
Dude, what kind of boat is that? You have a Nautique, right?
Yeah, we're on a Nautique. It's a GS22 Nautique, Super Air Nautique.
No, and you got a little. Didn't you get a flat tire on the way down? Dude, we got to show his picture of the flat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big summer blowout on the tire. I was probably pushing the speed a little bit too fast, and a guy pulled up next to me. He was like pointing backwards. I'm like, oh no. I pulled over, big blowout.
Dude, I got to give it to you, man. That is a very that's a very socially distanced activity.
Yeah, we're bummed out. We actually just drove by the Hula Hut, which is a place that we like to go in Austin whenever we're on the lake. They've got like a place where you can just park your boat, walk right up. But we're staying out of it this time.
Wait, is it? I love Hula Hut, man. You kidding me? Is it closed or what?
No, it's open, but I mean, we're just not going to we're not going to restaurants personally. So
yeah, you saw Herman Cain, man? He went down, man. Poor guy, dude. That's terrible. Terrible.
You just never know, so I'd rather be safe.
Yeah.
Dan's calling me though. I'm like, I really want a Mai Tai right now, but it's not in the cards.
I love it, dude. I love it. All right.
So basically, though, we had to do 2 episodes today because late last night, Chris called me. He realized that one of the companies that we have in our portfolio, one that has a lot of interest also in our Discord group, has earnings coming out. By the way, the Discord, dumbmoney.tv/Discord if you want to be a part of that. But when you called, I was so dismissive about this stock. I actually sold this a while back, but you convinced me that I needed to get back in to play earnings tomorrow.
Dude, Dave, this stock is up like 70% since we talked about it, since we hardcore hardcore talked about it.
It
on
is
half of one of our episodes, right?
It has doubled since its low, and it was up. But I got out for I think okay. I didn't kill it on this stock, but it is one that has kind of done this. It had this recovery, and then it dropped back a little bit, and then it went back up. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but you made some very good points about what has gone on in the last 3 months during the quarter. The last time they reported, it was for the period ending, I guess they reported April 29th, so it would be the end of March, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what the company is. I want to get Jordan's perspective before he drops us to go, do some more surfing. But, because I feel like he's the type of person that would use some of maybe he's a little high end for their products, but a lot of their product categories. So, we put that mystery box on the thumbnail, and people were guessing what it was on our Discord channel, and I think one person got it right. The mystery box.
Drum roll, please.
Bread maker, okay? And this is so great because I'm helping this guy in LA on a startup, and he's like a big kind of celebrity photographer guy, and I was like, so what are you doing like during this whole shelter in place? And he's like, Chris, I've been doing nothing but baking my own bread. And and sure enough, that's been one of the hottest things in the world the last 6 months is people baking their own bread. Now, granted, this is like a tiny little piece of what this company does, and we're going to talk about everything that they do, and we're going to show you data, hard data on everything they can do, and we're also going to tell you the risk because, honestly, Dave, this is not a high conviction. I'm not even sure at this point if it's even a medium conviction pick going into earnings.
Yeah.
Because so much, we call it undiscovered, but the reality is investors have picked up on this story. So I don't know what expectations are going into tomorrow. And there are some risk factors that I'm going to talk about. So I have an okay position. I bought a few options, but I didn't go in too big on the company. The company is Spectrum Brands. Now, Jordan, my question to you is they have 4 segments, okay? They have 4 segments, and one of their segments is basically small appliance for the home. They have juicemen. They have juicers, basically. They have breadmen, okay? They have, which are these bread box makers, okay? I don't make my own bread. I don't know. I order the nice.
But that was what the thumbnail was. This is a picture of the bread maker that we used on the thumbnail. To me, that doesn't even look like a bread maker. It looks like some computer device, but that is their professional 2-pound bread maker that was featured in the thumbnail.
They have the George Foreman grill. Oh, you know what I forgot to do, Dave? I'm going to look for it right now. I forgot to pull up the famous George Foreman video where he did nothing but promote his new grill after winning like one of the craziest fights in history.
And that's what I said. Jordan? Do you remember that fight, Jordan?
You there? Hello?
He can't hear us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I was trying to unmute myself. I didn't want, engine noise in the background. But, yeah, for sure.
That was the crazy... Dude.
So, last night, my thing was, Chris, does anybody still even remember who George Foreman was? Or do they think of that as a grill, a panini maker brand? That, to me, it's been so long since George Foreman was actually a celebrity fighter that that's a brand name now.
5 years old, you have no idea who George Foreman is.
That's what I thought. And that was my point on this Spectrum Brands. All of their brands, they have a ton of brands, but they're all kind of like the other brand, the second tier brand. They when we were talking about outdoors and mosquito spray, they are Cutter, where I would say the name brand is probably off. And for bread maker, they are Breadman versus, what do you have? Cuisinart and all these other big brands.
Yeah.
So they're like the also ran brand in all of these categories. But the fact that they're in so many categories.
I'm a Cutter man. So
You're a Cutter man?
Yeah, I use Spectrum Brands. they've got this gray bottle of Cutter that is awesome for mosquitoes. And I spray it every other week on a weekend and just spray the backyard, and it does a really good job. And I've had the Off brand also, and I think Off might do better for personal use. But if you're spraying your backyard, the Off brand's no good. You got to use Cutter.
Well, looking at their website, they are not just Cutter. They are also Repel, which I would have just
Repel's
assumed
a
are
good
two different
brand,
companies. They're Spectracide. They're Hot Shot for killing roaches, and Black Flag. It's like they have two brands in that category.
Spectracide is what you get, just kind of like all-out insect control for your backyard. I mean, and they make stuff that does grub control and all this stuff. You get that stuff at Home Depot and Lowe's. I feel like with people taking over stuff themselves, that's really the brand that you're going to get for your lawn is Spectracide.
Yeah, so guys, I'm going to break it down. They have four sectors, okay? They have four big sectors that they're in. One, okay, is home and garden, okay? It's basically garden and Spectracide. It's essentially weed killer. They're like one of the largest brands in weed killer, and that's one big sector. And as we know, that sector is hot, hot, hot. Guys, can you believe we talked about this so much, but we did not invest in Scott's Miracle Grow, and they blew out earnings yesterday. We've been talking about this for 5 months, and I knew Scott's Miracle Grow was going to hit it, and it was one of those stocks I forgot. Honestly, I forgot. It fell through the cracks. I forgot to make my trade on them, and now I feel like the biggest idiot in the world. But if you missed out on that, here's a great way to play the garden sector, man. This is like 20% of their business, 15-20% of their business is this garden stuff. And listen, gardens are hot right now, all right? Hot. The other sector that they're in that is even hotter than gardens, and we're going to talk about each of these sectors. We're going to talk about each of these brands. I'm going to show you the data, okay, is pets, okay? They are huge in the pet business. What's the hottest company in the world right now? Chewy. Chewy's exploding. Why? Pet ownership is through the roof. You can't get a pet if you want one right now, okay? So pet ownership, adoption rates are through the roof, and companies like Chewy are on fire. Well, guess who makes a lot of these weird products that they sell at Chewy and Petco and,
Yeah, that's what I was going to
brands,
ask. Does
right?
Chewy sell Spectrum brand products?
What?
Does Chewy sell Spectrum products?
I don't think it. Listen, I bring up Chewy. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is the pet ownership is up, so anything pet is up. If you were selling $100 million a month in pet stuff before, you're selling $115 million now. Demand is up. It doesn't really matter what their brands are. Their brands were doing X amount of business pre-virus, and because pet ownership went up X percent, their brands are going to do X percent more business with more pet owners. It's very, very simple, okay, guys? So they own Nature's Miracle. Now, what do you do when you get a new puppy in the house? What ends up happening? Jordan, you've probably been through this. Dave, you've been through this. What happens when you get a new pet in the house?
You immediately have to go buy Nature's Miracle to get the pee off of your carpet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Every single time.
Right? Right? So I think Nature's Miracle, and they're not the only brand in that world, but they got the brand, right? And they do that. So they're one of the 2 or 3 big brands that are carpet cleaners for pets, right? So they have like a bunch of dog food and cat food in Europe. Like they're
Ukanuba in Europe. Here they have Imes. Oh, that's also Europe only. Do they have any brands here?
Ukanuba's here too, right? I thought my aunt used to feed her dog Ukanuba.
Well, it's here, but they're the only they're the Ukanuba only in Europe. There's a different company that does it in the States.
But do you know what they're pretty big in, Dave? Like these Smart Bones are pretty big, evidently, and the Dream Bone, Smart Bone, those are actually pretty big, from what I understand. Littermaid's a huge brand. They got Littermaid.
Littermaid is a big brand. I mean, that's what I say about these. It's like these are a bunch of random, like isn't the cat litter like this is not the one I've seen a commercial for. The one with the cat like pawing. It's a yellow and red label.
Dave, here's what you got to understand. I respect what you're saying. Listen, Spectrum Brands is known as being the number 2. In fact, like if you go back 10 years, their goal was to be Avis. They wanted to be number 2 in everything that they did. Now, they have a new philosophy. Their philosophy is they're going to put all their momentum behind the winners and like drown out the losers. So, they're in the middle of a huge restructuring, new executive talent at the company, totally new philosophy. They're going all in on e-commerce. Let me tell you, Jordan, where are you right now? Austin, Texas, right? Tech hub, one of the big tech hubs of the world. They opened up a huge tech. Spectrum Brands opened up a huge tech hub in Austin, and they hired data scientists. They hired marketing people, and they put them in Austin. And they said that when the world transitions to e-commerce, they want to have a bigger portion of the e-commerce sales in each sector than they had in the store. So they're going all in on e-commerce. And if you look at their e-commerce websites, they've done a pretty good job. They have data scientists figuring out the best way to capture an outsized market in each of the categories they're in as people go out of the store and into the internet to buy all their stuff. And what great timing, right, for all that, now that you can't go in the store anymore. So they were kind of getting ramped up for this over the past 18 months. So that's kind of good timing, okay? This is a turnaround play.
Well, I was going to ask, so do you know from the last earnings call, do they actually report on how much their e-commerce grows?
Yes, they do, Jordan. And my memory serves me right. I want to say their e-commerce was up 38% this last quarter. So their e-commerce is really ramping up. In fact, I read their earnings transcript this week, not once, but twice, okay? I really want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I got a clip out of that earnings call that I'm going to read to you today on this episode. But Dave, you're right. I mean, they are number 2 or 3 or number 4 or number 5 in all these sectors. But you know how many cat owners and dog owners there are in the world? A lot. So no matter what the brand, there's a customer for all the brands, right? Like there's literally a customer for all this stuff.
And that's what got me thinking about it. You basically made the point that I made the point that they're, they also ran brands in all these categories. But these categories are all things that people did when they were stuck at home, and this quarter specifically covers the 3 months that we were all in lockdown and at home. It's global pet care, hardware and home improvement, which we haven't even talked about yet, home and garden, which everybody decided this is the time they're going to go start their garden, and then house and personal care, which includes all of their kitchen appliances and even like razors and shavers, but they're not Gillette. That they're the also ran brand.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. I spoke of 2 of the categories, and the third and the fourth category that they're in. I spoke to 3 of them, right? We talked about small appliances, we talked about garden, and we talked about pet care. The fourth category is they make locks and sinks and faucets. They make smart locks. They own what's the name of their brand? It's Kwikset. They own Kwikset. They own Baldwin handles and that's the sector I'm most worried about for a number of reasons that we'll talk about in the show.
Wait, you're worried about Kwikset?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because their door hardware and all this stuff, even though the trends are up online, the search volumes are way up online, the home starts hit a record low back in March and April and May, Jordan. So there were a lot less homes being built. Now home starts are starting to pick up in June and July, but it's going to be a few months for home starts to get back to their normalized level. And so when you're building less homes, when construction stops for 40 to 60 days, which is what happened, there's going to be a gap in like that wholesale demand, okay? Yeah. The wholesale demand for these products.
And I think National Hardware is a very wholesale focused brand. I think Pfister is like a consumer brand, one that they sell in like a Home Depot. And then all these lock brands, there's like Kwikset, Baldwin, Easy Set. I feel like that kind of is a mix between some wholesale brands and some retail brands.
Yeah, and they also have some supply issues in this area. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go over the data, but that's a big risk factor. And I think if there's one thing that could really, take Spectrum Brands down this quarter when they report tomorrow, it's this division. And this is the division we really have to be conscious of for this trade. But
do we know how big this division is?
I think it's one of their bigger divisions at the company, but they're all pretty equal. Their fastest growing division, Jordan, is pet care, which is great because pet care is the one that's going to really killing it right now, and so already their fastest growing. Now, the company has taken some major moves to kind of decrease their cost basis, so they're really lean on inventory, and that's kind of a problem because they don't have all this excess inventory. They're trying to be really lean as part of their restructuring. And so if there's this influx of demand on pet products, which there has been, they even said that last quarter going into like the April, which was the first month of the new quarter, they announced April 30th. And they got to speak of the first month of this quarter, and they're like, hey, we can barely keep up with demand on the pet stuff. Our issue is, can we get enough pet stuff, coming from China? Because it takes 6 weeks on the water to get the stuff here. Yep. So they have to fly the stuff over. It's going to be more expensive. It's going to increase their cost. So there's a lot of variables at play with this trade. It's not all good. It's not all awesome. But I do think all in, I'll talk about this, that the risk reward, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. And for me, it's worthy of a reasonably small to moderate sized trade going into earnings tomorrow. It's not something I'm going crazy with. I'm not levering up huge in this one or anything like that. But Jordan, I don't want to keep you like from your family vacation because I know Adrian is probably not super happy with you being on your phone right now. So just before we leave you, tell us like any more thoughts on the home pro? Like George Foreman, they have a smoke-free, a smokeless grill that you can have in your house. You seen any of this stuff? You think there's a trend there? You think that's going to be good during this time? A lot of people buying these small appliances for camping and for their lake houses.
Yeah, I mean, we know people are buying stuff like that. I can't speak specifically to the George Foreman. I feel like that thing's, kind of played out. But I do know that the bread making is a big deal right now. I see tons of people that I follow on Instagram. They're like, yeah, I'm rising the yeast or whatever for this new bread that I'm trying out. Right? It's all over the place. I feel like the small appliance is doing well right now. I think you can be sure of that.
Juicers, people are definitely juicing for sure, right?
And they own Juice Man, the brand there.
Yeah, very weird.
I've never even heard of that brand before.
I had never heard of Bread Man, but I can tell you that Megan has a bread maker, and when the whole trend started, she definitely was in on it and starting her own, what do you call it, sourdough bread starter that she got off the internet, I think. And
we made some of that. She dropped off the mix and we made it. It's awesome.
Well,
it's awesome.
Do you have a bread maker?
What? No, but you don't have to have a bread maker to do that.
Well, it's way easier if you do. You basically just dump it in, and it like does its own mixing, and the next morning you wake up and you have fresh bread. And I actually love that, but I'm not sure that I want. I'm not sure about the stock.
Jordan, any thoughts real quick on Quickset or any of that stuff before we let you go?
The only thing that I would say is that I see what you're saying about the wholesale demand, but I feel like there is going to be stronger than normal retail demand on that stuff. Just, I don't know if it's going to make up 100% of the wholesale loss, but just with people doing home improvement and stuff, I know Quickset is doing like all sorts of smart locks and stuff. You can buy full-on Quickset Baldwin locks that you can key yourself at Lowe's and Home Depot. And I feel like that's a really good segment for them on the retail front. We just have to figure out how to balance that on the wholesale side.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's not like a slam dunk, but I do like the risk reward. It's not like one of my all-time favorites right now going through the summer, but I do like it. Looking back, I wish I owned even more of it. I did buy a little more this week. I added some options I'll talk about. But dude, Jordan, go surf, man. Have fun, right, dude. You need this, dude.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Well, are you gonna be on this afternoon's earnings report live?
Good luck.
For our 3-hour.
Yeah. I'll guest in, kind of like I guessed in today.
Make a little appearance, yes.
We've only got like a 2-day trip here, so I got to make the most of it. But I'll see you guys on the other side.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Have a good vacation.
Later. Okay. Dude, I'm so glad he went out and did that. Jordan needed his lake. He needed his lake vacation, right?
No, absolutely. That's great.
Hold on, Dave. I gotta pull up my on my own spreadsheet. I don't know what's the best way to do it. Do you want to have?
You have that screen share. I have your screen share if you wanted to do that.
Okay. So you have my screen share, so I can kind of go through it here. Guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through, because listen, Google Trends, we talked about it a million times on the show. The great thing about Google Trend data, we call it G Trends, is that it's available to anyone. You can hop on there. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Google Trends is like 85% of all the world's search traffic. It is the world's greatest free resource for investors. It's probably the data source that I use most, just as a general go-to. I have other data sources, of course, ranging from credit card data, web stats data. But this is just a nice one to see what the world's looking at. And you have to be really careful when you use it, because the data can throw you off. You have to understand, sometimes I always say, understand the narrative behind the data. So don't just trust the data itself. But we're not going to go super deep. We'll go super broad, just taking a look at some of these categories here. The first one, these are all categories that Spectrum Brands is playing in, okay? So the first one is cat food, all right? We know they do some cat food, right? So just look at that chart, man. Look at that chart. We're going to always pull 5-year charts. We're always going to pull global, because they're a global company, even though we know that they only do food in Europe. But I don't care. We're just going to pull global for everything. Beautiful chart right there, right? So obviously a huge uptick in cat food. No surprise. Let's look at dog treats. I was telling you, Dave, they're they have like 2 or 3 dog treat brands. Man, if there's ever a time, Dave, when you want to get dog treats, isn't it probably when you have a puppy and you're looking for all the you're like going overboard on all the stupid stuff for your dog, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And this is, your dog's stuck at home, and if you're on Chewy or Amazon, I've bought some specialty, not from these brands, but I bought some specialty dog treats. So yes, I can.
Dave, let's just say what you bought. You have your dog treats like handmade for you, don't you? Tell us about that. Like, don't you have like your CBD for your dog, like hand scientifically just done just for your dog?
So I actually switched away from that brand, but it's a little startup that I believe is in Oklahoma, and they make small batches of CBD infused dog treats, and my dog really liked the pumpkin flavored ones. But one of our mutual contacts and business partners is involved in another CBD-related dog treat, and so I wanted to test that product out. It's called FOMO Bones, and so I've actually switched Shimmy over to FOMO Bones. So she's actually a big fan of those, but to replace the pumpkin in her life, I found these pumpkin dog treats on Amazon that are made, I think, in Portland, and they come, it's just brown paper bag and a little see-through window, and they're also small batch and homemade, and she really does enjoy those. Yes. She's back here sleeping right now. You can usually see her in the background of my videos.
Oh my God, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me. I'm just as bad with my cats, dude. No
I know. Your cats jumped into the frame right before we went on and hung up your connection with us.
It did.
So I've been scrambling trying to get the show produced here today. Yes, FOMO Bones is the name of that. And we will talk to the comments, because I did see Pedro is on top of things. He knew that my birthday's coming up and wanted to know what we were doing, which is absolutely nothing.
Dude, let's do a front yard happy hour at minimum for your birthday.
We should do that. You
have to walk a block down.
I will walk to your house for a front yard happy hour.
Awesome. And you still need to try that moonshine, man.
Oh no, I did try it. I haven't talked to you about it, but I thought I sent you a picture of my moonshine mule that I made and we had on the back patio.
You did. That's right. You did send me the comments. You said it was okay. Like, it's not something you would go out and do. I said it's you could see.
Absolutely good for like a specialty bartender to make something fancy out of, but I just don't see myself having it sitting in my personal bar to make things out of.
Yeah, the big question is if a bartender, guys, for those of you who don't know, this is a moonshine brand we're thinking about investing in. It's a ultra premium moonshine brand called Saint Luna, and I'm helping the founder. He's doing really well. It's like one of the most ultra premium moonshines in the world. I mean, Dave, it didn't taste like a nasty moonshine, right? Like if you were at
it tasted almost like a mezcal a little bit. It had kind of just a unique flavor, a little more flavor forward than you might expect. I had it in a Moscow Mule, but it was Moonshine Mule, I guess. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
So he's doing like really high-end restaurants. Anyway, so listen, carpet cleaner. We talked about this one. Another thing, you get a new dog, whatever. You get a new cat, and sure enough, you're gonna need some carpet. You're gonna need some specialty carpet cleaner, which is the Nature's Miracle. But look at that jump in carpet cleaner that went up there. It's really like through the roof. Quite honestly, you're not going to see a jump in carpet cleaner maybe ever again, unless we have another pandemic where pet stuff goes up through the roof, right? Again, here's I thought I showed dog bones already, did I not? But there's dog bones.
I think you had treats.
Also up considerably. Cat litter, right? I told you they have that cat. I think they have a cat litter brand in there. So there's cat litter. No surprise to see cat litter up. This is another thing, guys. They do a bunch of bird stuff. So they have bird food. So bird food is through the roof. And again, not stuff you think about.
And this is actually what I like about it. Because like McCormick Seasonings is just going crazy because everyone's at home cooking. This company has so many micro brands that all are products that people are buying more of right now because they're stuck at home. And it's the kind of things you don't really think of, which is why I love this as a kind of undiscovered stock pick. And that's why I'm playing it, even though I'm medium to low conviction.
Pet shampoo, Dave. I mean, obviously, you're with your dog 24/7. You want to make sure your dog is clean now,
and
right?
Yes, you don't want to take so I have not been going to pet spa with Chimmy. I've actually washed Chimmy in the sink a couple of times. And so, yes, I guess if I didn't already have pet shampoo, which seems to last for forever, I have one. I bought a 2-pack on Amazon, and I will never be out of pet shampoo. But
you're gonna buy it one time, and I guarantee you their pet shampoo sales are through the roof, and that will never happen again. And might be a reason why I don't want to really own this company past this year, right? I mean, I don't know if Spectrum's one I want to be in for the long term. Okay, so now we're gonna get into some of the gardening stuff and insecticide. Tons of people are at home. So let me tell you, Dave, there's so many people that are at home all year, right? So What are you going to do if you're stuck at home and you want to save a little money? Fire your gardener maybe and start doing your own grass, right? Well, like all of a sudden, why not do your own grass? And you have insecticide, you need to deal with all that stuff. Or even if you keep your gardener, maybe because you're home 24/7, you're like, I want to get rid of these weeds. I want to get rid of like these bugs in my soil. I want to do some gardening. And I want to get rid of the bugs in my soil, right? And so insecticide is way up, and that's what they sell. They sell insecticide.
Well, I think that you're right. All of these brands that they have Spectricide, but they're not the one that you think of. What's the one that you think of? The Weed Be Gone, or I don't know, the grass spray.
Yeah, but like a rising tide is gonna what? Like rise all boats or whatever.
Exactly.
They call, right? So
and that's what I like about this. This is a holding company that has all these crazy brands in it that I think will do well.
Yeah, so weed killer up. No surprise there. Search of weed killers up, right? Herbicide, same thing. Like it's obviously up. I do want to say something though, guys, and this is where you need to be a little bit careful. You don't just trust G-Trend data. It doesn't exist in a vacuum, okay? So one thing you have to understand is a lot of the people searching on Google, they're searching for it where maybe before they would have just bought it when they were strolling through the grocery store, right? Or they're strolling through Home Depot. But now that they're not inside of a grocery store or inside of a hardware store or a pet store, they're actually just having to search for something they would have normally just bought anyway. So you have to take that into account, that some of the lift in search traffic might not actually be increased sales. It might be existing sales that are moving from offline, just part of their normal shopping habit, to now I got to figure out how to buy this thing online, okay? So, just take that into account when you're looking at this data.
And my first thought is, you say something like weed killer. I'm maybe not Googling weed killer. I'm going straight to Amazon and typing in weed killer and to see what the everyone in the comments remembered that it was Roundup that I was trying to think of, and that when you go to Amazon is the exact bestseller. And I want to see if Spectracide is even listed on the first page of results. These are all. Oh, here it is, right here. Boom. So Spectracide made it in the first page of results.
There you go. Yeah, listen, their brands, everything. I checked almost all their big brands, Dave, on Amazon, and everything that they make is in the mix, right? It's almost never number one, or even like number two, but it's in the mix of the top 4 or 5 brands for that thing, whatever it is, right? So they're there.
And you'll notice that they are the top pick instead of the runner-up, which is Roundup. And it looks like they're $2 cheaper on a price per, 64 ounces versus this other one's 1 gallon.
Nice, because maybe they're not the leading brand. Maybe they are known as being kind of a value brand, right? They're not like the super value brand, but they're kind of an intermediate value brand. So, Dave, you know what they sell? You know what they have a lot of? I don't know if you saw this on the website for Spectrum Brands. They are really big in the fish world, right? They do a lot of fish stuff.
No, I did see that.
And you know, one thing that they actually mentioned on the last conference call, it was just a single line, but if you caught it, just a single line. They talked about the fact that in April they saw a pretty substantial uptick in the fish business. People were going out and buying more fish pets, right? So and you could see from the search traffic, that is exactly what we're seeing. That's a pretty substantial lift in people looking to buy a fish tank, right? So Dave, if you're looking to buy a fish tank, what does it probably mean? You're probably looking to buy your first fish, right?
Probably.
Could it mean anything else? So when you're doing that, you're buying all the fish stuff. And guess what Spectrum brand sells? They kind of sell all the fish stuff, right?
So their brands there are Tetra, Marineland, Glowfish, Instant Ocean, and Jungle. I'm not a fish person. I can tell you that I don't know of any of those brands. But I know that people who love their fish and their fish forums do tend to learn everything.
Yeah, I agreed. So okay, so here's what I'm worried about. Now, this is interesting. I didn't do as good of a job chopping this one up for the screen here, but door hardware. You got Baldwin, right? They have a bunch of this door hardware. So the search traffic is through the roof, which is what Jordan was hinting at, okay? And I love that. I think that's great for them. On the negative side, you have to understand that home builders are not searching for door hardware. They're just buying a ton of it, right?
Yeah.
And they're installing a ton of it. And I am worried about the fact that there was like a 40 to 45 to 60-day period when everything just kind of paused for a while. That whole world just paused. And because of that pause, there's going to be a gap in the wholesale demand for door hardware. Because a lot of what they sell is just goes into new houses, right? Just goes into new houses.
When I was reading, though, in the live chat, people were saying that the brands, even though they have kind of the second-tier brands, the home builders are actually using the third-tier contractor-grade stuff, not even quick
yes
set.
and no. So there's a lot of different kinds of home builders, right? And home builders actually purchase across all those tiers. And when I looked into their business, they do a lot of wholesale business, okay? So Spectrum Brands in this division does a lot of wholesale business. So you have to take that into account. But I do like to see that the search traffic was up significantly for door hardware. Also, that's just another duplicate, it looks like, door hardware. Okay. So also, there's the cleaner version of door hardware. And you can see a little closer there that it's up dramatically, right? Dramatically. Now, how faucet? They sell faucets. I can't believe, Dave, we're sitting here pulling up Google trend charts of the word faucet. And this is what I love about what we do. It's like,
and this is why I was like, there's nothing to this. And
How?
There really is. There actually is. I'm sure people are sitting at home with, a dripping faucet or all of the home improvement things that you notice because you've been locked up for, even the first 3 weeks of this, right? You probably, I know I was going around noticing little things that I hadn't noticed before and having, more Amazon boxes delivering random things. I didn't buy any faucets, but it is an actual trend, and I think it is going to have an impact on their sales. And I don't think that the one or two analysts that cover this had, any kind of change to their projections, and they did actually come out ahead of the projections from last quarter. Last quarter just included maybe the first week or so of kind of stay-at-home time, right? So this entire quarter has been in the midst of the whole stay-at-home, try to reopen, stay-at-home, try to reopen.
But there are a lot of negatives too, and we'll talk about those. Like I said, there definitely are some negatives. Retail, a lot of what they sell, especially on the small appliance side, is done through places like Macy's and Bed Bath and Beyond and stuff. And just having that entire distribution channel completely shut down in the last few months is devastating for a big piece of Spectrum Brands business. And quite honestly, like even a lot of their stuff, like on the garden side, like you have to order this stuff, or you can get it in Home Depot, of course, which is great, but less people going to some of these stores. And it's so funny, Dave. I remember when I was going to New York every couple weeks for a few years for ticker tags, all I do is I meet with hedge funds, I meet with, the analyst teams at, Bank of America and Jefferies. And I used to do this. I used to pull up literally dozens and dozens of charts, highly granular, and usually not G-trend data. Usually it was mention frequency data through ticker tags, but they look just like this. Instead of what people are searching for, it's what they were talking about. And I'd be like, look at the lift of people talking about this granular thing. They looked at me like I was insane, absolutely insane. But at the same time, they eventually got it that this is what, in 2020, if you want to be able to detect what is happening right now, you have to look at what people are saying and what they're doing in terms of searching for, right, and their behavior. Yeah,
and I was in the audience of a conference that you were speaking at. It was filled with all sorts of people with different ways of analyzing data. It was a room full of the people who are trading based on data, and they all looked at you like you were crazy when you first started talking about your methodology of, no, I just read Twitter. I just, read Twitter all day, and I, have a scientific way of kind of looking at the mention frequency and the change in velocity and all of that. And by the end of the speech, you had more people coming up to you at the end of that than any of their other people on the stage.
And he went at the conference. Every conference I speak at, they tell me afterwards, they're like, we've never had our audience literally come to us like we've never had a speaker that actually people cared about. Because, investment conferences are super boring, dude. It's the same people talking about the same stuff over and over again.
Yep.
And I come in there with all this whacked out stuff, and people eventually get it. But fish food, well, there we go. Fish food, Dave. Right? You get a new fish, you got to get fish. Now, how often you get fish food? Probably not that often, but when you buy a new fish, you got to get your fish food, right?
I guess, yes.
It's up there, man. It's up 20%, 30%. That's a big move for fish food. That's the biggest move in fish food I've ever recorded. I'm never looking at fish food charts, but it's up there, right? Okay, so
I've noticed that several people have been asking in the chat, joining us in progress and not knowing what we're talking about. We are talking about Spectrum Brands, and Spectrum Brands is this holding company that has a bunch of different other companies in a bunch of categories that people buy more of when we're in the middle of a stay-at-home pandemic. Pet care, hardware and home improvement, home and garden, and home and personal care. And the ticker symbol for this is SPB, Spectrum Brands. This is what their stock chart looks like over the past 6 months. That you see that dramatic low to high, that is 100% gain. They're around $52 a share right now, and I will put just on the screen just so that we answer the question when people come, because this was a mystery kind of when you have a question mark on the thumbnail, we got to tell people what we're talking about. So let me just add a little on-screen graphic here. That is too small.
It was a bread maker, Breadman. Dave, I wish I can point where in that graph, maybe someone will do it that knows. When we first talked about Spectrum, it was definitely, I think, lower than it is right now.
Well, actually,
I don't know.
it was kind of. I know that I made money, but I know that it's kind of moved sideways from the time we last talked about it. Yes.
Has it? So I thought it was down a lot further, but who knows? I want to show this pic. So I think one thing that was interesting is one of their pet divisions started manufacturing hand sanitizer, okay, right when the pandemic started, under the Cutter brand, okay? So this is a brand new product. It's called Cutter Hand Sanitizer. It's basically 80% alcohol. Now, I don't know if this product is going to really move the needle for the company. Probably not, but I thought it was innovative of them, and they primarily were distributing this through Home Depot, which is awesome because Home Depot is one of the few places that has remained open the whole time that anybody, so they had to sell a ton of Cutter at Home Depot, so that it's flying off the shelves, right? The Cutter hand sanitizer.
Yep.
So I just checked to see, if it was sold out. And I think it's interesting that this thing is back ordered at Home Depot right now. It says estimated arrival date August 10th to 13th at just about every Home Depot in my area of Dallas. But you can buy it and get it delivered next day on Amazon. So that's good because it means that they're not totally out of supply. They obviously have enough supply that they're able to sell it on Amazon. But Home Depot, whatever they've been buying, because Home Depot is such a robust retail channel, has obviously been selling out of their pallets of this hand sanitizer, and they're just ordering as more and more and more, right?
Yep.
So it's nice. It's a nice little bonus for the company to be able to get into the hand sanitizer business, right? And that's a nice thing about Spectrum, Dave, is that they have such massive, massive distribution and manufacturing, and it's such massive distribution into companies like Home Depot. Like literally, that they did that deal in like 12 hours, right? They're like, hey, Home Depot, the Cutter brand that everybody knows is going to start selling hand sanitizer. How much do you want? And Home Depot is like, give us $5 million worth to start off with. And God knows how much hand sanitizer they sold over the past 90 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a nice little pivot that they had there. So the next
So
thing
they're saying that we bought SPB at around $50.80. And
so we didn't make much money on it.
But if we look at the chart, can you see that where that little X is? If we bought it around here, and then it went down and then went up, we made a little bit, but then it's been kind of just going sideways. So it's like back to that point where it has recovered to and then dropped back. But this is the first time we're going to hear how they did in the quarter where people were at home, and so that is our thesis is. They are going to do better than the analysts or really anyone who watches this stock. And it's not a widely traded stock. It's not one that I had ever heard of until we started doing research into, I think it might have been, we were looking at who makes the competitors to like off, because that's such a small part of SC Johnson.
Yeah, so I actually I traded this years ago back in the day. One of the big hedge funds that was maybe the largest owner of Spectrum brand stock, had asked me in a pitch meeting. They're like, what can you tell us about anything related to Spectrum brands? And I went back and I realized that it was like the biggest mosquito season, Dave, we had ever had. And I literally came back to the fund and I was like, hey, I'm showing that the mention frequency of people talking about mosquito repellent is through the roof, like triple what it's ever been in the last 6 or 7 years. And I think this is going to have a massive impact on Cutter mosquito spray. And they're like, interesting. So they're trying to figure out the time whether they should like increase their position or decrease it, because there was a lot of speculation on Spectrum at the time. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, like 3 weeks after that meeting, there was a research report that came out and said that sales data of mosquito repellent was higher than it had ever been, selling out nationwide, selling out globally, right? And I got a call from this hedge fund, and they were like, oh, what the hell? Like, dude, you were so dead on. The fact that you were 3 weeks before any research had come out, because I had detected it in conversational volume even before it showed up in the credit card data, right? And so we always talk about social arb trading is simply the early detection of change, okay? And there's a lot of ways to detect change. A lot of the ways that hedge funds try to get ahead of the market to detect change is they look at what people were buying, but credit card data is actually weeks old. And when you look at what people are talking about, sometimes you could detect the change even before it happens, as it's happening and slightly before it happens. So it's like the earliest detector of change. And search data, which is what we're looking at right now, is kind of very similar to conversational data, because Ticker Tags, my old company that sold at hedge funds, we analyze conversational data on Twitter, but search data anybody can have access to, right? You don't have to pay for it, and that's why I'm focusing on search data for this report. Dave, I want to talk about the conference call, the last conference call they had, and I pulled out this snapshot of what they said, and I just kind of want to read it. Okay, so he was talking about projections. Okay, these are basically the projections for this quarter, the quarter they're going to report on tomorrow morning, and what the CEO said about his projections. This is a response to a question he was asked. He said, yes, I mean, listen, we're going to try to be disciplined about it. I think we told you we have a pretty durable business. Everything we do is in and around the home. And there's a reason lawyers want us to remove guidance because of all the different variables. So we don't want to mess that up. What he was saying was, I think if you read between the lines, is they're asking, why did you remove guidance for the rest of the year? And he's basically telling you, he's like, our lawyers wanted us to remove guidance because there's a lot of variables. We don't know what this pandemic is going to do. It could be the end of the world for all we know. Like, it's not prudent to have guidance when we're in a situation like this.
And everyone was pulling their guidance at that time, and they were one of the first companies to report. You know, they were within a couple of weeks of, you know, the first lockdown, right?
Yeah. And they got crushed for it. And then he goes on to say, but I think that what we've said in the prepared remarks is we've actually seen some resilience and some stability in pet and home and garden. Those are the two divisions that we know are going to crush it this quarter, right? And quite frankly, I think Randy talked about kitchen products being in demand, haircut kits being in demand, and a lot of growth in Remington was disclosed today. By the way, Dave, I did something wrong because I pulled another 20 or so images that didn't make it into my presentation, and it was all about Remington. And there are people that are searching for, basically, I have all these search. I can't believe none of this stuff showed up. I even have like juicers and bread makers. Like I thought I emailed this to myself. Maybe I'll try to pull it up in. Oh man, I'm so frustrated now. We might need to go on Google Trends to show some of this stuff. But if you look for Dave, can you just pull up on Google Trends the word beard trimmer? Yeah, I think it's a good one. Beard trimmer. But anyway, he goes on to say, haircut kits being in demand and a lot of growth in Remington was disclosed today. I think you'll see us continue to advertise there. We're starting new businesses like hand sanitizer, and we do have Microban on our Quickset door locks and handles. Now, Microban's kind of a fraud. It doesn't actually do anything to kill viruses on doorknobs, but people see it and it kind of sounds like it does, okay? So I think it will probably help them. There's a lot of ways Spectrum Brands can play offense here, but look, we're in unprecedented times, and we took a very defensive posture, and we'll adjust as things go forward. Listen, those are really big words. He's basically telling you, listen, guys, we have to take a defensive posture. We have to be cautious with our guidance, okay? Basically eliminate it. But if you read between the lines, you understand that he feels pretty good about where they are with all this stuff, right, Dave? Wouldn't you agree?
No, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking for in these calls, and it'll be interesting. I can't imagine that they're going to have new guidance for the next 3 months, but they're going to tell us what happened during this time when all of their products were more in demand than they have probably ever been in a concentrated period in the history of the company, right? And I have your Google Trends chart on beard trimmer pulled up here, so there it is. Okay, and you can see this is a 5-year US on beard trimmer. And
Awesome.
there's a random out of no. You see, they have a seasonal spike that is from November through December 22nd because people buy these as Christmas presents. But then here we go. This is the December 28th, 2019, and then it drops off. And then out of nowhere, April 19th hit 100, where
Okay,
they've
Dave,
never been before.
Yeah, never. Can you pull up? I'm sorry to do this to you, Dave, 'cause I thought I had all the stuff in my presentation, so you wanted to do it. Can you pull up home pedicure? Because they make a whole lot of home pedicure stuff at Spectrum Brands, which you wouldn't be thinking about.
Whoa, look at that chart.
Right? Awesome, right? That's crazy.
That is
now,
crazy.
You want to see something really cool here? How about, and you're going to laugh, but how about bikini trimmer, Dave? Bikini trimmer. They actually Remington makes bikini trimmers, okay? Now, a lot of these girls, they go out to get bikini trimmed and waxed normally, but they can't do that right now, right? They can't do that with the virus. They have to trim their own bikini lines, all right? So bottom line is bikini trimmer is peaking, okay? You're never going to see bikini trimmer trend like this. Is that it?
Google is going to think that you and I are so weird for having similar search terms. Their geographic targeting on these two random dudes that we know a lot about are searching for bikini trimmer on the same day.
By the way, Dave, do you know how many times Google has shut me off for pulling? I have exceeded the maximum of 280 G-Trend pulls in a short period of time, and I get shut off. And I have to go to a different account to pull G-Trend charts. How about hair removal, Dave? Hair removal's a big one. They have lots of hair removal stuff at Remington. Guys, this stuff is legit. You got to look at all this stuff. Hair removal, okay? Are you doing global, by the way? You should do global, Figer?
No, I have US pulled up, but I can move this to global. Hang on.
Yeah, you should do global because they're a global company.
I have too many screens open. Here we go. Worldwide. 5 years. Hair removal.
So I want to hair removal.
What did you want me to search for now?
All right, the one that is not looking good, and I know why, is curling wand. Okay, curling wand. Remington makes a whole lot of curling wands, and if you think about this is the one thing I checked that was just terrible. It didn't go up, right? Curling. Is that worldwide?
That's worldwide.
Dave?
Yes.
Are you doing it for the search term? Not just search term.
Search
right?
term
Not like
curling wand. Worldwide,
Okay.
5 years.
Okay, so I'm showing an even worse chart for some reason on mine than you are. Maybe it just looks a little different. So curling wand, when do women use curling wands, Dave? When they go to big charity events, they're going out, they're doing stuff that they're like formal events, right?
Yes,
So
and again,
all
that's
that stuff
spiking
is
in the
canceled.
November-December timeframe every year too. But
Right?
it's on a definite downtrend over time because
Which makes
is
sense.
curling
because,
wand
Dave,
falling out of favor as a style?
well, no. But curling wand this summer is down big because no one's doing any events this summer because they've all been canceled. Okay, so really that's going to impact their business negatively. So that's the one thing I found out of like 50 things I was looking for that were really down. But Dave, you got to just check toaster now because you know what they make a lot of? Toasters. Black and Decker.
They are Black and Decker. That is the one brand of theirs that I feel like is kind of a
it's
top tier-ish
huge,
brand.
Dave.
Is it? I don't know.
Black and Decker is one of their biggest brands.
I'm pretty
And
sure
check out
my
Toaster.
toaster is a Cuisinart, and I'm guessing yours is too.
No, it's not a Cuisinart. I have even a better brand for toaster oven. It's awesome. I forget what it's called, but I love it. But I do have a Black & Decker. You know what I have, Dave? I have a Black & Decker hand vacuum. So why don't you search up hand vacuum and look how good that looks? Because that's really what Black & Decker is known for.
How do you spell vacuum? Is it two U's and two
Vacuum
M's?
is V-A-C-U-U-M. Hand and
What
then
a
space
weird
vacuum.
word.
V-A-C-U-U-M.
Worldwide still?
Worldwide hand vacuum.
Well, they had a spike up in November and then
No,
kind of
you
an
might have been pulling it wrong. It's a huge spike, Dave. It's one of the biggest ones. Hold on, let me see. Why can't I see? Hold on.
you should be able to see the
wait.
program feed.
Let me look at the program feed. Yeah, okay. So that is a huge spike. Hand vacuum only goes up during the holiday, but look what it's doing during the summer.
Yeah.
Sustained elevation. Sustained elevation. That is insane. They've never sold this many hand vacuums in the history of the company in the middle of the summer.
Is
It's
hand
insane.
vacuum something people search for? I would just search. What is their hand vacuum brand? Do you know?
Black & Decker.
Is it Black & Decker?
Black & Decker. It's the little, what do you call it? Dustbuster.
They make a dustbuster?
Yes, the Black & Deckers. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just searching for hand vacuum on Amazon to see what comes up. Get past the sponsor. So Black & Decker is the first result.
Yes.
Followed by
exactly.
Bissell.
They're huge. In fact, if you even look at vacuum cleaner, Dave, look at the search thing for vacuum cleaner. Through the roof, man, for vacuum cleaner. Maybe we need to take another look at your iRobot, too, on that whole deal. But, yeah, vacuum cleaners through the roof in terms of search traffic. But one that I want to talk about, Dave, because they do a lot of this, Blender. They do a bunch of different. They have a bunch of different blender brands.
Why would anyone need more than one blender brand? But you're right.
Look
at that chart.
Look at that chart.
Unprecedented blender. And I've been using my my margarita blender more than I normally would.
Hey, when you do that, you need to. We'll make some more of those chi-chis and margaritas for your birthday when you come over.
Perfect.
Next week. Okay, so also, Dave, we got toaster, we got blender. How about coffee pots? They do a ton of coffee pots. COFFEE space pot. That usually only trends, I think, in December. It's never trended in the summer before, but coffee pot is trending.
Yeah, it's usually in a downtrend in April, May, and it was a big spike in April.
Yep. Do you know? But you know what was really up, Dave? Check out Juicer. Okay.
Which they. Oh, look at that.
Nice.
And they do have a Juice Man. That sounds like a brand that people would buy.
Brand. They're called Juice Man. All right. So, but even better than that, Dave. What is exactly a George Foreman grill? It's a small grill. So search for small grill and see what you're about to find. It will excite you. I guarantee it. Small grill.
What did I do? Did I lose that window? Here it is. I feel like, oh, look at that. That's a giant, unprecedented spike in people searching for small grills.
So I do want to talk about one thing that is down, and it's pretty important. It's not down a lot, but if you search for mosquito repellent, it's definitely a bit of a disappointment. Mosquito repellent is having no 2 L's.
I know, I got it. Oh, that's the topic search. Hang on.
Sure, same thing, either one, whatever. It's not down a lot. It's just not part of this big move, right? So it's basically, I think it's down a little bit from last year, not a lot, but it's certainly not something that I'm feeling great about. And they do sell a lot of cutter mosquitoes.
Well, if we look at their peak here, May 31st, and then again on July 26th. If you go back to May 31st, that is, I guess, just the beginning of their peak. So yeah, they are off a little bit.
They're having know what they're doing, Dave? They're really having a nice late summer pop there in July, which is nice to see. So we might end up seeing more sustained demand of mosquito because it looks like we're going to get maybe a wet fall with a lot of these storms coming in. So listen, mosquitoes have never been worse in our neighborhood. So I'm shocked that mosquito repellent isn't higher in Texas alone, right?
No, I have a family of bats that now live in my chimney. We hear them every night, and they are actually keeping all the mosquitoes away. We've had far fewer mosquitoes in the immediate vicinity around the house. I know it's terrible when I walk to the park at the end of the block. It's bad, but I'm actually thinking I might need to be one of those crazy people who gets a bat house, mount it next to my chimney, so that when I actually cap the chimney again, I have a place for bats to live.
Wait, is this a good time to be having bats in your backyard?
They're a different kind of bats. They're not virus. I mean, all bats have viruses, but no, yeah. these are you see them flying around at night. It's actually really cool.
Really?
Yes.
That's kind of interesting. I might look into that.
I told your wife. She texted me a picture of a mosquito trap that you were considering, and I actually bought a different one. But hers was like a quarter of the price, so I ordered it on Amazon too. The one I bought is way better than the one that she showed me. So.
Yeah, I can't. I told her to return that. She's like, I can't. It's from some Chinese company. I'm like, why don't you talk to me before you buy this stuff? All right, Dave.
Wait. She bought the one from China? Because the exact same one that it was like $50 from the ad that she showed me is on Amazon, and it's $12. So I bought the $12 version, and then I used it side by side with my $40 version, and the $40 one actually worked, and this one caught 0.
I can't even tell you how upset I am that she bought that, because you know how I am about my mosquito traps. I just sent you a picture, Dave, of my mosquito trap. It's amazing. You got to pull out. So, guys, for those of you who don't know, we have the worst mosquito problem in the world. I build my own mosquito trap. I have a huge drum fan from Home Depot. I made my own net that goes to the back of it. Then I set my own sugar water trap right below that, and then on top of that, I buy chemical. It's like it basically mimics the human skin. And I actually buy those pouches and hang them above my sugar water. And when they get even anywhere close to this sugar water stuff, the fan sucks them in because the fan is so strong. It sucks. It's basically the same thing Dave has that he bought, but like 100 times more powerful. So that if anything flies within like 2 feet of this fan, they get sucked to the back of it, and then they're done.
Look how many you have on there. That's crazy.
It's insane, Dave. I am capturing literally thousands of mosquitoes on this thing. It's the world's best mosquito trap. I built it myself. I saw a YouTube video on it. And there's a guy that did the same thing, Dave, but he has a farm, and he puts it in front of like his pig sty, because that's where the mosquitoes go. And this guy traps literally like thousands of mosquitoes a day on this thing. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. So I'm actually going to I'm going to have my son or daughter start a local business here building these things for people in our neighborhood, and then charging them like a weekly fee to maintain like the sugar water stuff, because it's like a proprietary mix we have to attract it.
I love that other people have bats flying around their apartments, and Austin does have a huge population of bats. That's that whole bridge where they fly out at night and people watch it. But I have pulled up. This is the mosquito trap that your wife purchased. July 24th is when I bought mine, and it is $17.99. I've already. It's on the front porch right now, waiting to be picked up. But then this is the one. If anyone's interested, this one actually works. This is the one I purchased on July 5th, and this is it's just another generic brand, Intellible. But it looks kind of like a little an Alexa speaker, and it's actually sitting on my kitchen counter right next to an Alexa speaker. But it actually works.
You actually are catching mosquitoes? I thought you were just catching like gnats in that thing.
I don't have a ton of mosquitoes or gnats in the house, but I did have a problem where there were some mosquitoes that once they're in, it's impossible to catch them, and they fly very slowly in front of the TV when you're watching at night, and there's nothing that drives me more insane than not being able to catch a mosquito in a dark media room. So put this in there, and it caught, since I've had it, it's caught like 2 mosquitoes and several gnats, but it literally does catch them.
That's kind of awesome. That's kind of awesome.
So this is the one that I would recommend. If anyone wants a link to buy this, I should get an Amazon affiliate link going. Here's my Amazon affiliate link if anyone wants it.
So, Dave, here's the thing. We've been talking about mostly good stuff, a little bit of bad stuff, but I want to say there is some real risk in this trade. The risk side is they did have some supply issues. I don't know the degree to which those supply issues remain. I'm probably most worried about the wholesale demand of some of their hardware products, quite honestly. I'm a little worried about that. I'm also worried about the lack of retail brick and mortar distribution for a lot of their small appliances at places like Bed Bath & Beyond and Macy's and department stores and all the places.
All of those traditional brick and mortar, and Macy's is kind of, when you think of these second tier brands, that little home department inside of like a Macy's or any department store that has that little section, that's kind of where I picture their bread makers and their juicers.
Uh,
And Target.
Dave,
But Target's done amazing, and I imagine Walmart sells all this stuff. Amazon sells all this stuff.
Totally. I am nervous about housing starts, okay? I'm very concerned about housing starts being as low as they've been for the last few months. Now, they are getting better. The mortgage rates are down, so I think housing starts are going to continue to improve, and that's going to be a nice little tailwind getting that business back to normal. I think hopefully they'll talk about that in the conference call tomorrow morning, and that will help the story, and I think hopefully propel the stock tomorrow. That's at least what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and we have to remember, whatever they talk about, they're going to be talking about what they did this quarter and probably not give projections, but we should be able to read between the lines because the stock price is going to be most impacted by what people think will happen in the next quarter.
Yes, always, right? I think they're doing a good job. It's a turnaround story, new CEO. They have $100 million plus in cost savings they're going to unravel over the next year to year and a half, just based on better supply management. I do like what they're doing with their e-commerce teams down in Austin, leveraging data scientists. They're being aggressive. They're being proactive. This is a good time for that because it shows me that, Dave, what they're doing is they're trying to capture people that are searching for this stuff on Google and stuff, and they're trying to capture them direct to their e-commerce brands.
Yeah.
And if they could set anything that they're able to sell direct, okay, they're going to get higher margins on, okay? And I didn't even really check to see the degree they're doing a lot of this direct, but anything that they sell direct, even through Amazon and stuff, they're going to get better margins on that than selling through a Macy's, for example, right? So even if their business dips, I think they can improve their margins based on better D2C e-commerce. So I like some of the things they're doing. By the way, they sold Energizer. They used to own Energizer, the battery company. They used to also own a big automotive division. They sold all of that stuff. They're focused just on the big one. Excuse me, they didn't sell Energizer. I think they sold Rayovac to Energizer, I think is what happened. So anyway, I think they're doing all the right things here. I like the risk reward, but there is risk. I want to say, well, like we say this every episode, we're not financial advisors. We do not know your risk tolerance. We know our risk tolerance. Do not do what we do. Do not mimic our trades. This is about education. It's about understanding how we think, how we research. That's why we spend this long show going through data. We want you to see what we do so that you can do it better and then hopefully help us do it better, right? We want you to share your research with us in the Discord channel. We want to build a community of social arbitrators where we're all contributing, and together we'll all become better traders. That's what Dumb Money is about. It's about inspiring you, helping you, educating you, entertaining you, not about, hey, go buy this stock, go sell this stock. We're never going to do that. So please don't do that, okay, if you're watching this channel. Dave, I want to talk about another company, though, that came up in Discord.
And I also want to talk about another company that came up in Discord and in our live chat and on Hey There, Dave Here, my other channel. Someone asked me to talk about Spectrum Brands and Crocs, which also has earnings.
Oh, Crocs. Okay, we'll talk about Crocs in a minute. Could we talk about something a little more similar to Spectrum Brands?
Yes.
Also has, I think, earnings tomorrow. Makita, it's a Japanese company. And if you might have seen on my Google Sheets that I'll bring back up, I had a few things that were unrelated to Spectrum Brands, and now I'm going to find them for us. On here. It is Makita makes battery-powered leaf blowers and battery-powered lawnmowers and battery-powered power tools, okay? And as we know, and battery-powered hedge trimmers. So let's just start with power tools, okay? Makita is one of these companies, Dave. You've probably seen them at Home Depot. I think Home Depot is like their big distributor. They have, this battery pack that kind of works across the whole line of equipment. So you could use their battery packs in the power tools, in their hedge trimmers, and their blowers, and they're all about like battery-powered stuff, okay? And they're a pretty big, substantial brand in that world. And I have power. Are they seeing power tools right now? You look at that spike in power tools.
Yeah, well, let me put power tools back on the screen there.
So obviously everybody's at home. There's a lot of people tinkering. A lot of people with stimulus money, and we're about to get stimulus 2.0.
Yep.
Okay, one of the companies I think is going to benefit from this are companies like Makita, because quite honestly, I want to call these things almost toys, right? Like people that like building stuff, fixing their house, they want to have cooler, better stuff. And they're like, you know what? I'm home for a year. I'm fixing the house. I'm doing all this stuff. I want to upgrade from this junky old drill to a cool new power drill. Oh, look, this company, Makita, has a whole line of stuff. I could use their batteries cross-changeable for everything. And they're buying a lot more power tools, and Makita is going to benefit from that big time. How about their electronic battery-powered hedge trimmer? Look at that.
Yep.
A lot more people looking for hedge trimmers. Why? Because they're doing their own lawns. We talked about this for the gardening section of Spectrum, but to actually use the Spectracide, you're going to be probably doing your own lawn, doing your own hedge trimming, right? How about electric leaf blower? We talked about this, Dave. Electric leaf blower is not enough volume to really see what's happening, but you see this spike right here in the summer. It's about twice the spike we normally see for electric leaf blower. How about cordless blower in general? Look at that spike compared to last summer. It's about double what it normally is, right?
And blowers do better in fall when you have more things to blow, but out of nowhere they have a noticeable uptick for summer.
Dave, could you believe how many people are out there looking for cordless chainsaws this summer?
Why?
Right? Cordless chainsaws are off the chain, man. They are on fire right now.
Only in 2020 would cordless chainsaws be just flying off the shelves. Here's the stock chart for Makita while you're pulling up your next one. This is the US ADR, I guess, that tracks at MKTAY, and that is a crazy recovery. If I put up SPB Spectrum brands just to kind of overlay, because they are similar. Let's just see how they...
Here's the thing, Dave. I did not buy Makita. I literally saw it, started researching it. I bought it literally 30 seconds before I started talking about it because I forgot to buy it this morning. So I bought 1,000 shares. It is such a lightly traded stock that it kind of scares me a little bit. So it's not the type of stock, but I want to buy it just so I can play it. I'm not going to make much money on Makita, but who knows? I think someone said their earnings are tomorrow. It was one of their people that guessed what we were going to talk about in today's show. Chainsaw in general doesn't even need to be an electric chainsaw. Chainsaws are going crazy right now. You got to have a chainsaw.
Yeah, storm damage, murders. Lisa thinks that Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Speaking, Dave, of storm damage, dude, you remember one of my big picks this summer? I've talked about a few times on the show. Did you ever get into Generac?
No, I did not.
You did not get into Generac. I've been talking about it for months.
Because I'm Tesla is my energy play.
No, Generac needs to be on there too. I told you this. I said buy Generac, Dave. You didn't look at what happened today. Generac. I didn't even check the news. I didn't think they had earnings yet. It's just they're up. Generac is crazy today, man.
What is their symbol? Generac.
GNRC, I think. Are they up because of this tropical depression coming? Like
now that could be. Now that I could see. Let me remove this SPB from the chart.
Dude, look at this,
just
man.
Going nuts today.
This is not supposed to happen because I wanted to buy more Generac before earnings.
Well, they had earnings, and that looks like they had an earnings surprise of 54%.
Was that today?
Today.
Oh, I missed it. So
or yesterday, the 29th. So it came out probably after hours yesterday.
Guys, if you were watching Dumb Money Live, and you should have been watching Dumb Money Live twice a week, every Monday and every Thursday, you saw me going nutso about Generac. Why? Because I spent $28,000 on a whole home generator back in March. And I've been having massive conversations with the top distributor of Generac for the state of Texas. And they've been telling me we are busier than we've ever been before. We're busier than we've ever been. We're backordered. We can't keep up with this demand. It's insane. It's insanity. And I got on the show and I'm like, guys, I'm buying Generac. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. I got to buy Generac. I bought a ton of Generac, okay? Dave, do you know that I've made over twice as much money in my Generac equity position than I had to pay for my Generac whole home generator? So because I bought a generator for $28,000, I then was so in tune with Generac in these conversations, I bought a ton of Generac stock. Now I'm up like $70,000 in Generac. So it's like I got a generator for free, plus I made 40 grand. Is that the dream, or is that the dream?
I mean, that sounds like a dream.
Sounds like a dream.
I mean, what do I say? How do I react to that? Let me just put Tesla's chart on top of this. Oh, look who has a better energy play.
I was wrong, Dave. I made $80,200 in Generac. No options, just stock, and that's in like 2 months.
Wow.
That is living the Generac dream.
That is a Generac dream. How much was your
by
Generac
the way-
system?
What?
How much was the Generac generator you have in your backyard now?
It was $27,000 roughly, and I made 80 grand on Generac. So, and it's like I got 50 grand plus I got a generator that's gonna, anything that happens to my house, I literally have full electricity for everything in my house, 100%, including my pool equipment. It's amazing.
Congrats. That is awesome.
I love it. I love it when things work out how you want them to work out. And by the way, I'm killing it on Tesla too. I love Tesla. They're not mutually exclusive. Now, I'm going to potentially play Generac more if we get deep into this hurricane season. That's a whole nother day. It's a whole nother episode. A whole nother
you
conversation.
guys need to definitely subscribe to this channel because our hurricane coverage is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen. We are not weather people. But I will get my green screen out and I will be pointing to the storms.
Dave, I thought you were a meteorologist when you were 12 or something, didn't you?
No, I was not a meteorologist because you have to have the American Meteorological Society seal of approval for that, but I was a weather reporter. Because I was a radio DJ as a teenager at the local station here in Dallas, and we had the little jingle that said color weather radar, and then I got to do my little weather report that I put together myself. There was no one at the station telling me how to do weather reporting, but I figured it out.
Dave, the only thing I take more serious than social arb trading is storm tracking, and you know that.
And if you guys like storm tracking, smash that thumbs up button because we are going to have some amazing coverage. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have that bell turned to all because you never know when we're going to be on. We didn't even know we were going to be on this morning until last night.
I mean, storm tracking, you got to storm track for money, right? I mean, that's the only way to storm track. I mean, I think traditional storm trackers have no idea of the money that could be made when you're storm tracking and you're able to be minutes to hours ahead of the news flow on these twists and turns of these storms and trading these insurance companies and Home Depot and Generac and stuff. Like, I'm telling you guys, I cannot wait for hurricane season, and I say that with a little bit of guilt because unfortunately it causes massive destruction for the world, but I can't control that. What I can control, and by the way, I always make donations. If I make money off my storm tracking on my trades,
we're not questioning your motives here. We know that it's an event that happens in the world, and like everything, we're looking for change. And if we can detect the change, or we can predict what's going to happen, or be prepared for what might happen with certain stocks, it's an opportunity that you have to be aware of and take seriously.
Totally.
Thank you for smashing the button. We did have a spike in likes. 234, 235.
And by the way, not just storm tracking, but the election, man. Back to school. Guys, you need to be looking out for our back to school at home episodes next week. We are definitely doing a back to school at home episode next week. And there's so many trades here. Like, it's hard to wrap my head around it. Dave, at some point after FANG earnings today, I just have to leave everything and just go all in on my back to school at home trade research, because that's going to be one hell of a show next week, I think. And we'll see. All right, so Makita. I bought Makita, okay? I think these guys are pretty cool. It's a light stock. They're already up a lot, but I don't care. I think they're likely to have a pretty darn good earnings, right? Don't you think, Dave, based on that search traffic?
Yes, I think that Yeah, they're a battery tool company, and people are buying tools.
Low conviction, but I'm doing it. Low conviction, but I'm doing it. By the way, can we talk about some monster trades that came through for us, not just Generac? Big Five Sporting Goods. What? I tripled my money in that stock. I tripled my money in like a matter of a month, a few weeks. This is insane. Dave, have you been looking at this?
I'm pulling it up right now. I had not been. Oh my god! Look at that chart.
I mean, it's down today, guys.
No, look at just the spike over the last. What am I looking at here? A few months. Here's 1 month.
Oh my god! I should have sold half yesterday because I'm telling you, like I just was too busy. But my goodness, what a trade! I got that thing at like $2 or something. It was crazy. It was up to like 6 yesterday. A triple on equity. That's just unheard of, insane. And by the way, for those of y'all that have been trading Durrell, my goodness, Dave, when we went back, you never got in Durrell, but could you believe Durrell has tripled, Dave? It's tripled. And they're still selling every bicycle they can make. And now on top of the bicycles, you know their furniture. The guy talking about this in Discord.
Yep.
We were late on Wayfair, but guess who sells guess what a third of Durrell's business is? Selling furniture through Wayfair, okay? I might buy more Durrell, okay? Like I sold a bunch of my Durrell. I doubled my money. I was like, I doubled my money. I think people are caught on to the bicycle trade. I don't care about the stock price. We say never look at stock price. Never look at how much money you made or lost. But I was like, people are catching on to the bike trade. I was like, why would I still stay full-fledged in Durrell? I should have stayed in Durrell because the bike trade's not letting up, Dave. It's not letting up. It's continuing through the fall.
Yep.
And now the furniture trade is on. In fact, Dave, you've got to check this. Check desk, the word desk on Google Trends. You know what we bought this week from Wayfair? We bought 2 desks for our kids because guess who's going to be schooling at home this winter? My 2 kids. We had to build a schoolroom for these kids in my house. I had to buy 2 desks from Wayfair this week. I think Durrell might sell desks. I'm not sure. I think they might sell desks.
They sell like weird patio furniture. I know. I don't know what their full lineup of products is.
They just sell any type of furniture. You can't go wrong right now if it's through Wayfair, right? So, yeah. I mean Durrell, and then they sell the baby stuff. And, whatever.
And by the way, Wayfair was my big pick the other day. And did you see what the stock did after I bought some?
Dave, I don't want to know. Was it bad? Did I miss out?
You missed out.
Oh!
Here's I made that call on Monday. Here's the 5-day chart. Which day was Monday? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, it was like back here.
Oh, nice, dude, nice. Dave, how about some of those boating stocks we've been in all summer? Have you seen them, man? Crushing power sports.
Like your
it, dude.
Sea-Doo.
This is living the dream. Sea-Doo, Polaris, I think just had earnings, crushed it. Brunswick, man's coming out with earnings tomorrow. You know what? I never bought Brunswick. I never even bought it, and I kind of feel I didn't buy it because I felt like I thought they were like lightly traded. Man, they're not that lightly traded. Should I buy some Brunswick right now? They're down.
I don't know enough about Brunswick to tell you what you should do. And I'm not an investment advisor. I'm just your childhood friend who we talk.
No, but listen, the boating. We've been talking about this all summer. Like I keep thinking the boating trade has to be over. It has to be over by now, and it just keeps moving and grooving. The camping trade, the outdoor trade. We thought we were in early, and we were like starting to like get out of some of those trades partially, because like at some point the market's got to recognize it, but it still seems like it's maybe not fully disseminated. So Brunswick, they have earnings tomorrow. These stocks are all up big right over the summer. We got in at the right time, and I've been kind of slowly exiting them as the dissemination happens throughout the summer. But now I look at this stuff and I feel like maybe I should just held all of it through the end because these trades, these movements, this shift in consumerism towards outdoor and boating and motorsports is just way bigger than even we thought it was. It's just absolutely incredible. So
And we have people reminding us we need to talk about Crocs. So I was just pulling up their chart, and I was not sure if their earnings were before market today, if they've already been released. So I'm trying to get confirmation on that.
do they not have? They would have had that, right? So Crocs, I kind of took a break from Crocs. Okay, their earnings. Let's see here. Oh, KFC Crocs came out. I knew that today. They sell out in less than half an hour. Of course they did. Crocs is the best collab branding company in the world, dude. They just destroy it. They absolutely kill it.
When are the Dumb Money Crocs coming out? That'll really move the needle.
Dude, Dumb Money Crocs have got to happen. I mean, I feel like we could, with all the money we made off of Crocs in the last few years, we could probably do a custom order of like 10,000 Dumb Money Crocs and just pay for them to get them made ourselves and do our own collab without even telling
without even an unauthorized collab. We just make some Crocs with our own stuff on them.
We should totally do that. So just the big money symbol on the side, right?
Yeah.
Green, of course, right? We should totally do that. Man, I always have an opinion on Crocs, but you got me surprised here. I'm not ready to have an opinion right now. I haven't done my research on them in the last few weeks. I wasn't thinking Crocs right now. I am looking heavily, though, Dave, at a potential short this fall, and I haven't really talked about it yet. It's a company that makes shoes and they make other stuff, and I don't want to talk about them yet because I'm still doing my research.
Okay.
But I will say this. I will talk about that on our Back to School at Home episode next week because it fits in perfectly. So stay tuned next week for. I haven't done a big short trade in a little while, Dave, but this is one that I'm really seriously contemplating for the Back to School season short.
And to just kind of tie up the story of Crocs, let me pull up this is the 3-month chart on Crocs, and I confirmed that they did have their earnings. It was announced this morning, and they shot up right after earnings, then they dropped back, and now they're up, but their general direction is up. And I haven't really been following Crocs either, but they apparently did release their earnings this morning, and so we'll have to just read more into that and see if that's something we want to get back into.
Yeah, I will only trade Crocs when they're doing something significant that the market hasn't fully appreciated yet. So that's not happening right now. And I do like what they did with the nurses. I think they probably got a pretty big new customer base in the hospital market by getting their branding out there and having every nurse in the world on the Crocs website, signing up for Crocs. They added all those nurses to their email file now, right? So I think that was a really smart, savvy move that they did, but I'm only going to invest in Crocs when something monumental is happening there that the rest of the world hasn't seen yet. That's been my way with Crocs the last 6 or 7 years as I've traded them.
They did have record e-commerce revenue growth of 68%. Their operating income grew 18%. Their diluted EPS increased 51%. So they had a pretty crazy good quarter, it seems, but I don't know what the expectations were.
Yeah, and neither do I. Hey, listen, Dave. I missed a stimulus 2. We had a stimulus 2.0 episode last week. Well, on Monday. It was on Monday, right? This week, actually. And if you haven't seen Stimulus 2.0, Dumb Money, it's a 2-hour episode. It's pretty long, but we've gotten a lot of compliments on it. I've even had a lot of friends call me and say, hey, I love your Stimulus 2.0 episode. It was great. I want to talk to you about a few of these things. Watch it, okay? Watch that episode. One stock I didn't talk about that I do think will benefit from Stimulus 2.0. Right when we ended the episode, I had it in my notes and I forgot to talk about it. And I haven't talked about this in a while. Our GAN trade. As you know,
yes.
I had 85,000 shares of GAN that I got out. Looks like at the right time. 55,000 of my shares I sold between 25 and 27 bucks a share. GAN's down to like 21. I'm at 30,000 shares of GAN. I always said I kind of want to be between 10 and 30,000 shares of GAN because it is a small, volatile company. It's not something I want to keep 85,000 shares in forever. But I do think GAN's going to benefit from Stimulus 2.0, Dave. We saw them benefit from Stimulus 1.0, the entire industry of online gaming.
Yep.
There's a portion of America, right, that will take that $1,200 stimulus check, and what are they going to do with it? Go right to their favorite online casino and gamble it away.
And I'm just putting DraftKings on this chart too, so we can just see that it's basically that's what's going on. DraftKings moves, GAN moves.
Yeah, and unlike DraftKings, GAN is probably more heavily positioned in online casino gaming, where DraftKings is more oriented towards sportsbook gaming. I'm not going to say that they won't benefit as well. They will. They absolutely will. But I do think this is like if I have a pro and a con list for GAN, and I'm constantly kind of looking and balancing to figure out how heavy I want to be in GAN, I think Stimulus 2.0 getting done when it gets done, because as I've always said, it will get done. It's just a matter of when it gets done. I think it's a positive for GAN, and I should have talked about GAN in the last episode of Stimulus 2.0 trade. Also, people have been asking the Discord channel to talk about Plug, Plug. We talked about it in our EV episode, and they were concerned because Plug's been around for like 16 years, and they've been going nowhere. Why now? Why now? And we talked about it in that episode. Hydrogen has been a thing for a century or more, right? And it did have this thing happen in like the mid-2000s, and it kind of had a moment. The moment never materialized, and now hydrogen's having another moment. Well, the thing, guys, is that hydrogen isn't really going to be a thing unless there's a network, like a platform network nationally, to be able to get hydrogen into all the different stations, so that as you're going from one part of the country to the other, you can easily access hydrogen. And that doesn't exist yet. And I think the thesis here is that with all this new millennial and Gen Z investing money supporting companies like Tesla, supporting companies like Plug, like Nikola, right? Like all these companies supporting them, that potentially now there will become the funding that is needed, the billions and billions of dollars that are needed to build out that national network for hydrogen will potentially happen. And if and when that actually materializes over the next 3 to 5 years, if it does, all of these hydrogen plays, Plug being one of them, are going to finally have their moment. Yeah. Okay? So that's the thesis. Now, you could believe in that thesis or not, but that's a thesis of why Plug is kind of having a mini moment right now, and a lot of these other hydrogen companies. Will they raise the money? Can they raise the money from capital markets to do the big things that hydrogen needs to be part of the EV culture, right?
Yeah, of the changeover in energy consumption. And
yeah,
my thought is that electric is probably going to come first, and because there's no infrastructure in place for hydrogen at all, and so it's probably just going to take a little more time.
Yeah, no, I agree, Dave. I'm going to do something right now. It's totally random, but my wife, I'm putting on my glove, which is hilarious. People can see how I deal with packages now, right? This is how I deal with packages. So my wife was like, "Why did we just get beef jerky in the mail?" And so I got to talk about this. This is our buddy. I bet I don't know if you guys are watching right now, Terrence and Drew, but our buddy Terrence, we've known, one of our best friends, known him forever. He has been talking about doing his own biltong. How do you say it?
Biltong.
Biltong? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Biltong company, and I'm so proud of him. Wait. Let me get this in front of the camera. Terrence, he finally did it.
It's too bright and out of focus.
Africa. Yeah. Oh, it's out of focus. Wait. Hold on. Let me see if I can click.
What is his website?
Yeah. His website is let's see, Happy Bees, HAPPIEBEES, Bitlong. So Terrence is from South Africa and has been obsessed with the real deal Bitlong, which is South African beef jerky, okay? But he'll tell you it's nothing like beef jerky. It's like real deal, like life-changing stuff. And he's been talking about this, Dave, for what, 10 years? He's been talking about this? And he's finally doing his own beef jerky company, and he claims it's the best in the world. So happybees.com. All right.
This is not sponsored. This is purely because we like Terrence, and I haven't tried the product yet, but you paid for that. You didn't get even a free sample.
I'm not. No, I paid for this.
Yes.
I didn't even get it for free. And I'm not an investor. We have nothing to do with this company other than I'm so proud of him for finally doing it. And I wonder if this stuff really is as good as he says. I feel like I don't have the palate to even really judge this stuff. So if anyone else in the dumb money world can go buy one of these and tell us if it's really, if you know anything about beef jerky.
I'm gonna buy some now.
Why don't you tell us if it's legit, if it's as good as Terrence tells us it is, right? Oh, you haven't bought yours yet, Dave?
I never saw our text string goes so fast with that group that I never saw the URL. So I have not gotten mine. I know Jason has already gone through like a pound of it.
Nitrate-free, gluten-free, keto-friendly South African beef jerky. I'm gonna try it, man. I'm gonna try it today.
You should try it on the show. You should do an unboxing. Now that you have your glove on.
No, I can't. I feel like I need another glove to open. I mean, maybe I will. I don't know. I feel like, what if I don't like it? Then I don't want to like have a sour face, for his new company. But he says it's the greatest thing in the world. So and he knows what he's doing when it comes to beef jerky. I mean, Terrence eats this stuff all the time, and he's just so frustrated with the beef jerky market.
Everyone wants to see a live taste test.
All right, next episode. I think we should all do it at the same time, though. You should get yours. Jordan should get his. And then next week on Dumb Money, we'll do our own live taste test of Terrence's beef jerky. But try it. Buy some. Let us know what you think.
You have a coupon code for me or anything?
I think he did. I mean, that's so bad. He's probably losing money on every package with having to do this in small batches, right?
How's he even making this? He's not? This is like a commercial kitchen somewhere.
I have no idea. Huh. We should take a bigger interest.
We should
in our good friend's startup.
Well,
right?
if Dumb Money were actually leaving the house and looking at startups, that it would definitely be something we would talk about. He's clearly not on, we would have gotten. None of our friends are watching, or we would have gotten some kind of a chat. We can't even get our friends to watch this show, so we really appreciate all 500 plus, 524 stuck with us this long. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you haven't yet hit that like button, let everyone know that you're still watching the show, because only half the people have hit the like button so far.
Dave, are we really coming back we're really coming back this afternoon for these
Yes, we
calls?
are. We have a huge afternoon of earnings calls. It is probably, I don't think in history we've seen earnings like this all at the same time. Sometimes you might get two on the same night, but tonight it is Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google all reporting earnings, and their conference calls are staggered with 30-minute intervals in between the start time. So I'm thinking that if we stick around and want to actually listen to the conference calls, if there's anything that we're not getting out of the press release that we think we need to listen to, they literally have staggered them with 30-minute start time. So we'll have to kind of like switch from one to the next when the Q&A. We're really interested in the Q&A, but the opening remarks are interesting sometimes too. So we are back live in 2 hours, I guess they're saying, Simon.
My gosh.
So
I'm going to be on this all day.
That will be 4 Eastern, 3 Central, 1 Pacific. Mark your calendars, set a bell. YouTube has a convenient bell that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So yes.
Dave, I made a couple trades for the earnings show. I'm not going to say what they are now. I'll say what they are right when we get on the air.
Are you kidding? No, we need to talk about the trades before the market closes.
Fine. I mean, here's the thing. My trades are so biased because they're not big. I actually looked into some of these, and I didn't have that much time to go take a deep dive into Google like I did last quarter, or Facebook, quite honestly.
And I'll tell you, I'm not really expecting much from Facebook. I'm kind of curious just on advertising in general with Google, but not. I don't know that there's any super exciting news we're looking for out of these, but these are some of the most widely held stocks, and in our portfolio, some of the biggest percentages. At least, like Amazon is the majority, I think, of all of our portfolios.
It is our number one holding, and because of that, I did want to, whenever we go into these big events and you have all these companies reporting, this could move the market in a huge way, right?
Yes.
I think the risk for me is on the downside because my account is so long right now. I'm about 12% levered. Oh, no, not really. 10% levered long right now. I do have a couple short trades on. I have that that commercial building company. We'll talk about that in a future episode. But I am mostly long. I'm over 100% long, and I'm really heavy in tech. So I feel I needed to protect my account going into this massive earnings cycle. And I'm doing that with, I bought some puts on Facebook and Google, not because I think they're going to go down necessarily, but because I wanted to protect myself against the downside risk. And I think if I look at the 4 companies, Amazon, Facebook, Google, God, what's the fourth we're talking about here? Apple. I do think there's probably a little more downside risk in Facebook and Google. One, Facebook has that, that protest that happened, right, with all the brands.
The boycott from a bunch of big brands.
Yeah, nobody knows how big that is or whether it really is going to impact them. But I figured, it's a little bit of downside risk. So I bought some puts on them. I bought some puts on Google only because Microsoft search traffic was down significantly. I think it was down 15%. They said that they were expecting it to be down 20%, and they kind of move in line between them and Google. They don't obviously have as good of an advertiser base as Google does. But I think there's always a little bit of downside risk on Google if that model starts to fall apart. These are not even low conviction trades. These are what I would call more just kind of
You're hedging a little bit,
against my tech.
But you don't specifically. Are you long in Apple, Google,
I'm long
Amazon,
Apple.
or Facebook?
I'm long. Obviously, I'm super long Amazon and really long Apple as well. And I didn't want to go against those trades specifically. So I can get really screwed tonight if Facebook and Google blow it out and Amazon and Apple fall apart. That would be my worst.
That's your worst. That's my worst case scenario too. My 2 biggest holdings are Amazon first and Apple second.
Yeah. So I could get hammered tonight. We'll just see what happens. It is what it is. I wanted it to be a little more exciting than just watching stuff I'm not in, emotionally. I'm totally fine if
you're doing what I do with sports, and you have to bet on the Super Bowl to make the game interesting. Otherwise, you're just there for the commercials.
This is such a bad thing to do, Dave. It's literally the worst thing. It's the worst thing anybody could ever do, ever. When it comes to investing.
We have a lot of people asking about Ford earnings because that's something you've been talking about a lot.
Yeah. So I sold all of my Ford options. I just sold out of all of them. So last week I bought more, sold out of the new ones this week, and I'm out of my options, but I'm in my Ford stock. I have a really heavy position in Ford stock still. I'm going to keep that position through earnings. Okay, I'm going to roll the dice with it through earnings. But I'm not levered on Ford. I'll just tell you exactly how much Ford I own right now. I own 130,000 shares of Ford. That's a lot, Dave. Should I sell? I should maybe kind of lighten up a little bit. Going into earnings. Maybe.
I would. I just don't. We were playing the Bronco announcement. We were thinking that this is a time when we have people with some discretionary income, people excited about a Ford Bronco, people placing a pre-order. This may be when we get to hear a count on Bronco pre-orders. I'm not sure.
Oh, we definitely will. I sold 30,000 of those shares just this second. You see, Dave, you see how influential you are over me? You literally said I would. As you were saying it, I already felt it. So I'm down to 100,000 shares of Ford. I'm comfortable with that. That's $671,000. If Ford takes a 10% haircut, that's going to cost me $67,000. I could see myself losing 60 to 100K on the holding out here, but I am up. I'm up pretty significantly in Ford.
I think that Ford does have good upside potential with the Bronco and the excitement. I don't know that the actual sales that they've done in this past quarter are going to be maybe better than expected, but they're not going to be any kind of exciting sales number. But the future for Ford is what is going to be priced in, and that's where you have some upside. And they do release this afternoon, so we will add that to what we're watching.
Oh, add that to the list.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. So I got 100,000 shares of Ford, so add that to the list. Listen, I already made enough off my Ford options to buy, was it 3 or 4 Broncos? At least 3. Maybe 4.
Yeah, you're buying one for all of the dumb money team. We're gonna have matching Broncos.
I made enough to buy 3 Ford Broncos. I wonder if should I give one to Dave Portnoy? He's been asking Ford for a Bronco, like as a sponsorship, and should I be like, no, this is how you get a free Bronco. You actually have to.
You should
figure out how to trade. You
should,
and just give him one of my free Ford Broncos.
Yeah, I would have to tweet him today. See if he responds.
Yeah, maybe I should give him one. Have someone. If you're watching this, tweet Portnoy.
Tweet at El President. What's his name?
Yeah, we're
Stool Presidente on Twitter.
Yeah, we're contemplating giving him one of our 3 Broncos that we made in our Ford trade, and I wonder if we should give him one because, he seems to be. He just gives a call out to dumb money. It's like a sponsorship for us.
I think he would probably come be on our show.
Yeah,
and we could be on his show. We should do a cross-promoted episode where we talk about his investing philosophy, which is buy stonks. Stonks only go up. And we'll talk about our trading philosophy, which is look for things the market doesn't know about. By the time Portnoy's doing it, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
By definition.
There's worse philosophy. There's worse philosophies than his.
Oh, but
buy stocks is a pretty good philosophy.
He definitely has a better philosophy than probably 80% of analysts.
Right? Totally. All right, Dave, so we're coming back on the channel, then I got to get off this channel. I got to live my life between episodes.
You have 2 hours, so eat something, get a snack, and we are going to wrap this one up. Hit the buttons to make the things. I'm ready to go. So definitely join us again it's almost 1 now, so... Yeah, 2 hours from now.
Talk about all stuff.
Yeah, they know. They probably already know. But you can listen to this if you really missed a part of this, and or you're just not around YouTube. You can always catch our podcast. We're on Apple. We're on Google. We're on Spotify. I actually had some comments from people who listened to our Spotify podcast the other day on my other channel, Hey There Dave Here, which you should also check out. And I did. Almost as a joke, I did 2 stimulus update videos where I did a Talk Soup recap of what the other YouTubers who talk about the stimulus all the time are doing. So kind of funny. Watch those. I'm not sure when I'm going to do another video on there. We also want you to smash like buttons. We also want you to follow us on Twitter. We also want you to do all of those good things. I don't have anything else to say. We will see you in just over 2 hours from now. Until then, for Chris and Jordan, who's on a boat, and hopefully will dial in for a portion of our earnings, a big earnings watch party, we could call it. We will see you in 2 hours.